Of all the spring anime offerings, the one show that surprised me the most, the show that I had zero expectations for, but I'm actually really, really enjoying, is an observation log of my fiancée who calls herself the Villainess. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh god, another Villainess Isekai, another one of these shows where the Villainess is actually the good character, they're the main character, and they do all the good stuff. It's not really quite that. Now, I'm not going to sit here and, try to sell this as like anime of the year contender. This is not going to be something that's going to blow your mind. I think it just has so much charm here, and it's doing enough different that it's got a nice uniqueness to it that I'm really, really enjoying. And I hope you guys will stick around as I explain why as we get into this. But let's first start by talking about what is this show about. It opens up with Cecil. Now, Cecil is the first prince of this nation. He's a guy that pretty much has everything figured out. He's really, really smart. Every time somebody presents something new to him, he immediately understands it. Like, he's just that much of a genius. But he does come across something that he can't really understand, and that is his fiancée, Bersia. Now, Bersia, when he first meets her, she immediately claims that she is going to be the greatest villainess, and she's going to set everything up for him. And as he's like, I don't really understand what she's talking about, let me have her explain things, and he kind of sits her down. She goes through the process of explaining that at some point she awoken to the fact that she is an isekai, that she had this previous life where she was kind of secluded, she played this one otome game, and yes, currently right now, she knows that she is the villainess of that story, and that at some point, Cecil, her fiancé, is supposed to meet the heroine, the one that he's actually supposed to get with. And because she was so secluded and that she loved Cecil so much because Cecil got her through so much, like she just loved this character in this game. Cecil got her through so much that she wants to make sure that he has the happiest route. And what that entails is that Cecil meets the heroine, and the heroine chooses him and not somebody else. It kind of implies later on that, like, if the heroine doesn't choose Cecil, he's going to go into ruin or something like that. Like, Bersia is like dead set on the fact that this has got to happen. Now, this of course means that if Cecil gets with the heroine, that of course Bersia is going to have a horrible life. She's going to be the villainess that gets discarded into ruin. And Cecil's kind of like, I don't really understand, why would you want that? So she basically says, yeah, I don't really want that, but this is true to myself. I don't want you to go into ruin, so I'm going to make sure this happens. But I can't be this villainous person because that's just not me, so I'm going to be an honest, righteous flower of evil. Like, I'm going to be not really the villainess that was in the story, but I'm going to be my own villainess because I can't shake who I actually am. Which this kind of turns into, yes, Bersia becoming this individual that, yes, over time, pretty much everybody sort of interprets and ends up falling in love for her, while at the same time, she's trying to be the villainess and trying to get Cecil to go for the heroine and trying to set everybody else up so that everything sort of forms around Cecil eventually getting with the heroine. We find out later on that the heroine herself, at some point, she comes awakened to the fact that she's an isekai too, and that she's pretty much dead set on the fact that she has to get with Cecil as well. So there's kind of this back and forth between the two of them, not necessarily ever the two of them coming to understand that they are isekais as well. Over time, we kind of meet all these other individuals, including pretty much all of Bersia's fan club, which ends up being pretty much like everybody that is rival characters for every male interest for the main heroine. She sets up all of them, and they all end up like in this fan club for Bersia. Like, they're all supporting her and protecting her and making sure that she's safe, as yes, over time we find out that the heroine's trying to set up and sabotage and make Bersia look like the actual villain that she's supposed to be. We have a little brief time where Bersia's trying to set up her father to be like the biggest villain ever as well by, trying to embezzle money and everything. She literally even makes like this guidebook that he can follow. It's like it's perfectly drawn and spelled out all the different tactics that he could use in order to embezzle money. And the father comes to the prince with it and goes, I don't know what to do with this. She gave this to me and I don't know what she's doing. That whole thing there. Just a little, scenarios here and there, again, Bersia trying to get everybody set up with their romantic interests, a little brief moment where somebody's trying to sabotage Bersia in their own way because they're jealous, so on and so forth. And that's basically the gist so far of an observation log of my fiancée who calls herself the villainess. Like I said before, I'm not going to sell anybody on this being like the most like unique storytelling experience ever. There is a uniqueness to this in the idea that this is not necessarily from the perspective of the villainess herself. This story is perspective to the prince. And the prince himself is completely oblivious to what is this other world she's talking about. She's talking about she's an isekai from somewhere else. She's telling me everything that eventually comes true. Like, one of the early scenarios that pretty much convinces him that she knows something about the future is the fact that on this point where her birthday is coming up, she starts getting really upset. Or I think it was his birthday. I forget which one. A birthday's coming up. And she starts getting really upset because she knows that that pretty much marks the day that her mother's going to die. And so she gets very terrified out of nowhere. Like, oh no, that's the point where she dies. And she doesn't know what to do because this is a disease that hasn't been discovered yet. And by the time it's discovered, her mother is gone too far. Like, she's going to die. And what turns into is Cecil trying to figure out if this is true or not, that there's going to be this big epidemic. He goes through the process of trying to discover it before it happens and get a cure for it. Because again, this guy's a genius. And he actually figures it out. And he does end up saving the life of the mother. And so this pretty much convinces Cecil, okay, she knows something. And, yeah, by the way, all of his, like, potential people that will be at his side, like all of his potential retainers and whatnot, all of them, she kind of selects them out. He's like, this girl knows something that she's not supposed to know. There's all these things lining up that, yeah, he kind of gains a lot of interest in her. And then she's also kind of dangerous in that regard as well. It's kind of interesting to sort of have the perspective of an individual of that world that is sort of trying to navigate all the information that she's given, while at the same time, slowly over time, evolving himself. I do like the character progression of Cecil so far. Early on, he kind of seemed like a very kind of blank character. He's super smart. He's just kind of trying to figure her out, while at the same time being super charming and super beautiful and always making her fluster. But over time, we're getting to see that he himself is going beyond just interest in her. He had a curiosity of her because she's different than everybody else and he can't figure her out. Over time, we're seeing, okay, now he's sensing this feeling of jealousy. He's starting to get angry for her. It really kind of brews up later on as we get into, like, you know, the 5th and 6th episode, where you finally start to see somebody's now attacking Bersia and he's getting ticked off. He doesn't know why. He's like, why am I getting so angry? Why do I want her so badly to ask me for help? She doesn't want me to help her. Why am I getting angry? Something's setting me off. I'm now doing things that I told myself I wasn't going to do because, yeah, she's not asking me, and I'm sick of waiting. I'm sick of waiting. I'm trying to help her out here. It gets really charming. It's one of those things, like, early on, you get a sense that, again, Bersia is in love with Cecil because, again, she was in a dark place in her previous life. She played this game. He was this Prince Charming in the game. She absolutely adores this character, this 2D character. Now she's sitting right in front of him, wanting that happiness for him. And so you get why she's in love. You get why she's doki doki, and how that slowly over time, she's starting to finally start accepting here and there that he's advancing. But it's nice to see that opposite to her, he's getting that love as well. He's actually legitimately liking her outside of just, you know, again, just curiosity. I do love Bersia's character is just so freaking cute. Like, early on, one, because yes, her Seiyu is the same Seiyu that does Karane from 100 Girlfriends Who Really Love You. So I love her Seiyu. Very rarely getting to hear that Karane kind of come through, where like her being panicked or something like that. There's Karane right there. I love that character. Every now and then getting that little flustered nature kind of come out. But I love her character. She is just an absolute dork. She's a failure villainess. She's a dork. Now, granted, again, early on, it does establish that she doesn't want to be the villainess that, you know, is in the story. She doesn't want to be malicious. She doesn't want to be disgusting. She's still herself. She's doing it her own way. So she's not like always going around going ho 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 and trying to do evil deeds, and then it kind of blows up at her. Similar to something like, you know, My Dad's the Villainous. That story, I love that show. In that one, everything is pretty much he does something evil and people misread it. This one's not like that. This is more of the idea that she's trying to kind of navigate the field while constantly pushing Cecil towards the heroine. So again, trying to get all the other potential love interests, you know, with somebody else. That way, they're not even an option for the main heroine. And then over here saying, Cecil, no, you have to get with her. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. No, I can handle my own thing. You don't need to protect me. I'll be fine. It is, again, taking it in an interesting direction to have Bersia. Yes, over time, you're realizing, and it's very blatantly obvious, and it's heartbreaking at the same time, honestly, is the fact that she's trying to become the sacrifice. She's literally sacrificing herself for the sake of Cecil finding happiness. Because again, it keeps implying this idea that if he doesn't get with her, ruin happens to him. And again, because she loves him so much, she doesn't want that to happen. No, you have to be with the heroine. Please go be with her. Be charmed by her. Like, there's even a moment where she gets everybody these pennants to protect them from being charmed by the heroine, because she has this light power that draws people to her. She's putting protections on everybody except for the prince, because she's fine with the prince getting with her. Yeah, if he gets charmed, that's fine. Do it. You can see that, again, deep down, she just doesn't care about her own well-being, which is terrifying, because at times we even have like physical danger comes to her, and she legitimately physically looks terrified. Like, she is shaking. She has like her own fears. It's just that she so badly wants him to be happy. She's doing this. And it's like, again, it makes you love her so much. I love Bersia's character. Everybody else outside of the two main characters I've enjoyed so far. Everybody, again, of course, having their own reasons for wanting to help out Bersia because, you know, she's helped them or because she's just so charming and so cute or whatever. They've been all a decent cast so far. I would say probably all the side characters, again, all the other love interests, they're very basic stories, but they're enough to sort of show that they have sort of a presence in the story. And again, I think Bersia helping them is sort of just kind of improves her character more, gives her more depth to her character, proves why somebody like Cecil would eventually fall in love with her. I hope over time we get a little more into Heronia, which is, of course, the heroine character of the story. So far, it's pretty much been her off to the side, constantly getting upset and annoyed by the fact that things are playing out the way it does. They did have one little brief moment where it kind of feels like a lot of her own fears is kind of coming out as well, and the idea that she's getting kind of frustrated, like, Bersia, you know that you can't be with this guy, right? There's a moment where, like, you were in my spot, you can't be here. We know how this story... It almost feels like it slips out there that she knows that Bersia is an isekai or something like that because she's saying, you can't fulfill this role. You need to get out of this role. Again, there's a lot of frustration there that I'm hoping that we get eventually more into. I'm kind of feeling like here soon we need to get a full perspective of her, but she's been solid so far. I think there's sort of an issue as well because quite a bit of what's been happening in the story was technically not her. There's a period of time where there's like a little bit of a rug pull that happens, but again, I'm kind of hoping that we get a little more of her to kind of build her up to be something that's beside just an isekai that's just trying desperately to get in somewhere where equally she's not necessarily a bad guy. Again, by all signs point that this has to go this certain direction. There's this destiny that has to be fulfilled, otherwise things don't go in a good direction. Again, I'm assuming that at some point we're probably going to have some sort of big bad that shows up. And again, the heroine, the destiny, has to be with Cecil in order to create this duo that can save the world. Something like that. Through and through, though, I'm really enjoying it. It's definitely going up there as one of my favorite of the villainous type of isekai stories, even though, again, it's not on the perspective of the isekai herself. But it's been doing very well. It kind of goes up there with things like, you know, Villainess level 999, that kind of stuff. Something that just kind of does enough outside of the norm that makes it really enjoyable. And I'm really enjoying it so far. So anyways, that's my thoughts on the series so far. Hope you found it informative. Let me know down in the comments. Have you been checking it out? Is it something that's kind of unique enough for you? Are you going to be checking it out? Let me know. But until next time, y'all take care.